All right, again, there'll be a statement from coach, so then raise question or raise your hands.
So we're finally getting here. It's been a long time. We've had a lot of practices all summer and fall. They give us 30 practices in the 6 weeks leading up to the game. We've got 28 under our belt, so we're gonna give them tomorrow off and then go Saturday, Sunday. That's why we're meeting today. But we're excited that the exhibition games gave us a great opportunity to see ourselves against somebody else. I think we learned some things about us. We got exposed in some different areas. Coach Morrell at UNC-Asheville does a great job. If you look at your background, he's been at VCU. The pressing, we're expecting him to press us a fair amount. And I thought we struggled a little bit against Memphis, so it was good that we played Memphis. We got good looks from Wake Forest and Memphis both on different stuff. Memphis pressed us, we turned it over too much, against Wake Forest. So we've got to make sure we're better against the press. Our transition D got exposed a little bit. Some of that was off our turnovers. Asheville, I think, is going to play fast. They got some very good guards. They've got one of the fastest guards in the country, so we're going to have to get back, get our defense set. But they've done a really good job over there. The last 2 years, they finished first and second in the league. They made the NCAA tournament 2 years ago. Made it to the league championship last year. He does a good job. We're first off thankful that they're safe and functioning and able to play the game after all the devastation with the hurricane that went through there. So be nice to see them on the court. I'm sure a lot of people in that area will be nice to see them out kind of doing something. So we'll make sure we recognize that they've been through a little bit and had to have some practices moved around and kind of deal with some adversity. I'm sure they're ready to play games by this point too. But we're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to the year, and it'll be a good first 3 game stretch here at home, starting with Asheville. So.
Start on the right with Charlie.
Yeah, Coach, just what are things saying with Grant, Latrell, and Aiden and the
Yeah, so we've 4 guys have been out, haven't played in either of the exhibitions. Obviously, Youngblood's not going to be back till at least another month and a half or so. Sometime in middle of December is what we're hoping for with him. The other 3 have all been in practice, restricted to some stuff. Probably Reitzel is probably the most furthest along, followed by Sherrill and Grant. Grant's been the one hell lot of more things than the other 2 so far, but they've all done something these last 2 days in practice. We're off tomorrow, see how they recover after today's practice, what they look like tomorrow with Clark, and then see if we can get them in a little bit more Saturday, see where they're at by Sunday's kind of day before game practice. And probably they'll all be game day decision. I would think Reitzel would play. That'd be my guess right now, and then Sherrill and Grant will be probably more decided by Saturday or Sunday. But we're hoping to get them all 3, at least on some level. They'll all be, I'm sure, on some type of minutes restriction for Monday, but we're hoping to have all 3 of them.
Alex.
A little off topic, but I wonder if you had any reaction to seeing Vanderbilt take the unusual step of listing every player on their roster as a point guard, and then just how's your thinking evolved on just positional, like defining positions over the years?
Yeah, I mean, I understand what they're doing up there, and I would never tell anybody how to run their program. So I get what they're saying. They want 5 guys out there that can all make decisions like a point guard does. There's definitely some traditional college programs that have 1 guard, bring the ball to the floor every time, playing majority of the pick and rolls. I mean, we see it because in recruiting, we've got a lot of guards here, so people try to use that against us. They've got 6 guards already. Well, we started 4 guards last year a lot. We'll play 4 guards a lot this year. So shoot, I guess recruiting against them, they already got 13 point guards. Like, why would you want to go to Vanderbilt? They have 13 point guards already. If you're recruiting a point guard, I don't think we'll ever go to listing all of our guys as point guards. But if you understand how we play, you know, we've got the same type of mentality. Now we'll play with more of our lob target at the 5 screener. You know, nobody's gonna confuse Cliff with a point guard. So, you know, that would be, you know, that wouldn't really work for us to call everybody a point guard. But you will see lots of our guys. You know, we never listed Herb Jones as a point guard, but he was essentially our starting point guard his entire senior year. And we started him with a lot of combo guards. You know, Shackelford and Cornerly played a lot that year. And, you know, you look through when we won it, Josh Primo. But you know, we try to have at least 4 guys on the floor that can pass, dribble, and shoot, and sometimes 5. So whether they're all point guards, they call them all combo guards, like we should call them basketball players. So I think that's what he's trying to get to, that everybody needs to make decisions, and I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna do that ever, but I understand what he's saying.
Nick?
Yeah, Nate, in Huntsville, you talked after the exhibition about you weren't thrilled with the second half mentality and how your team came out. Obviously, with a team with this kind of talent, you're probably going to find yourself in some big halftime leads. Is there anything that you can do in practice in terms of how you prepare to make sure that they keep their foot on the gas in second halves?
Yeah, we have definitely discussed that, because I was not happy. I think those last 20 minutes we were not where we needed to be mentally, and it showed in our play. Too many turnovers. You know, we gave up 59 points. They got a lot of points in transition. So the biggest thing I've told our guys in practice is, in order to not have a second half like that, or potentially a first half where you're not come ready, you have to play every single possession of the game. Well, you don't play every possession of the game if you don't play every possession in practice. So to me, we've tried to mix up some of it. Like today, we ended with a tough defensive drill. Well, you know, maybe we ended with, and most of our drills are dual implication, but we're trying to, whether we score the offense, score the defense, whatever, trying to emphasize one side a little better. But our point is, you can't pick and choose when you're going to practice hard, because then you pick and choose when you're going to play hard, and then you have 20 minutes of basketball like we had up in Huntsville. So it's every possession, go 1-0 on that possession mentality that we've got to have, and we definitely didn't have it up in Huntsville for the last 20 minutes of that game.
Emily?
Hey, Coach. According to ticketing sites for Purdue, North Carolina, Texas A&M, and Auburn, Alabama basketball has sold out tickets for away games against those opponents. What is your reaction to that, and what does that mean the Crimson Tide should expect on the road?
That's good information. No, I didn't know that. So what was it? Five games you listed?
Yeah,
Was it Purdue, Carolina?
Purdue, North Carolina, A&M, and
Auburn?
Yeah, final game against Auburn.
Yeah. So look, one is we're playing some good basketball programs. We chose to go play Purdue. We got to go play Carolina in the ACC Challenge. So those are very good basketball schools. They have great tradition. So I don't want to just assume because it's us that they're sold out, but we are ranked second in the country right now. I would think those basketball schools that want to see their teams play against high-level teams would want to see a top 5 team come in and that play against them. So I think those won't be the only ones sold out as we get closer to some of these games, particularly some of these SEC arenas we play in. I'm sure they'll get sold out. I hope we get our own building sold out. I think the season tickets are sold out from what I've heard. You know, hopefully we can fill the rest of the seats and have a bunch of sellouts here. So we've got a really good team. We know that. Our guys deserve to have some attention, but, you know, getting ranked high in the preseason and actually playing well during the season don't always correlate. We need to make sure we're ready to go. We have talent. Talent doesn't win games. Talent doesn't necessarily guarantee good basketball, but we do have talent. People are expecting us to do well based on what we've done here in the past, these last 4 years. So I would expect a lot of sellouts. Hopefully we get a lot of sellouts here, and hopefully we put a product on the floor that's worthy of a sellout.
Chase.
How well do you think the team has guarded the three-point line in the exhibition so far?
You know what? Not bad. I think our, we want to protect the paint and guard the 3-point line. Like, we weren't as good as we needed to be against Wake Forest, I didn't think. Now, we've been the beneficiaries of some teams missing a decent amount of threes. Some of that is we do have some length on the perimeter. When you got guys like Jared Stevenson at 6'10" closing out with a hand up, Darion Reed, as athletic as he is, closing out at 6'7" with a hand up. We've got some length out there. Grant Nelson hasn't played yet, but he'll play a lot of minutes at the 4 for us, which then Jaron and Darion will be at the 3 some, and then we get some bigger guys like Cliff in there. I mean, Mo Diabate, he's got some athleticism, got long arms. I think we've got the personnel to be a great defensive team, both taking away the rim with rim protection and guarding the 3-point line well. We're gonna have to in these next 3 games, particularly this first one, Asheville. They play spread out, and that's the other thing with guarding the 3-point line is the more you get beat off the dribble, the worse you are gonna be guarding the 3-point line, because now you're collapsing, the ball's spraying. Now they've got uncontested threes. Those are the ones go in. So we've really got to do a good job keeping the ball out of the paint with our guards. And I didn't think we did a good job of that against Memphis. Like, they got in the paint too much. We got put in foul trouble. They went to the free throw line all night. So, they kept driving, got to the free throw line. Other teams, we collapse, they spray it, we'll get threes. Like, we've got to do a better job guarding the ball. I think when you guard the ball well, it helps everything else, including guarding the 3-point line.
Why?
Over half this roster is new players that weren't on the team last year. How have you seen them start to mesh together and begin to play complementary basketball in practice?
Yeah, and I think that's going to be pretty common throughout college basketball moving forward with the transfer portal and everything. So you're going to have to try to, meld your team every year. You're not going to, most programs, us included, probably aren't going to have the luxury of getting 8, 9, 10 guys back every year. So how do the 8 new guys, how have they looked with the current guys? I think the older guys that have played some basketball at a college level have done a pretty good job. Chris Youngblood's out. He's been out for a while, but even in the summer, I think he's smart, really locked in. I think, he's able to do it. Houston Millett's playing much different style than what they played at Pepperdine, but he's got a lot of questions he's figuring out. You look at guys like Aiden Holloway and Cliff, who have been able to play in these exhibitions and play, some pretty high level basketball where they came from. I would say, Holloway's a little more accustomed to playing our style. Auburn took a lot of threes. He's a shooter, he's a guard. I think he's figuring out very well. You look at the way he played against Wake Forest, I think he's pretty comfortable in our system. Cliff's figuring it out. He's not, we're not playing through the post as much with him like he did at Rutgers. He's having to be a ball screener, a roller, playing the pocket more. He's getting better. I think he's figuring out quickly how to play with our guys. And then you look at some of the freshmen, I think Darion plays so hard. Everybody wants him to do well. Same with LeBaron, plays so hard. LeBaron's done an unbelievable job figuring it out. And I think you saw it. I mean, he looked really good against Memphis. He looked really good against Wake Forest. And then Nas just got to get stronger. He came in skinny. He's got super high upside. He's got to get stronger so he can play a more physical style for us. And then Aiden Sherrill's got to get healthy. But before Aiden got hurt and went out, he's been out for like a month. I thought he was really starting to come around. He's shooting the ball really well. He kind of gives us 2 different looks at the 5. Cliff gets to the rim, rolls, puts a bunch of pressure on the rim. Aiden can really shoot it well, stretch it, can also put pressure on the rim, probably not quite at the level Cliff does. And Cliff's playing on the perimeter, but can't really shoot like Aiden. So they're not the same at all, and they kind of give us 2 different looks, but they can both play in the offense pretty well. So I think they're playing well together. I don't think we played that well on offense, so we put up 98, 96 points in the 2 exhibition games. So I think you can see guys starting to figure out how we wanna play, and we're playing fast, we're getting up and down the floor, and we're scoring some points.
Kingston?
Within the context of how talented this roster is and maybe the challenge of distributing the minutes, I'm sure that produces a lot of competition day in and day out. How have you seen that kind of manifest itself in practice, and how would you assess the team's approach leading up to the first game?
Look, they all like each other, that's the biggest thing. Like, if you get a group that doesn't really like each other, and you got a bunch of talented guys, like, it's gonna be a problem, because the guy that's playing in front of them, they don't like them, now it's an issue. With this team, they do a great job. I think they've done a really good job connecting, building it with each other. They hang out with each other off the court. So when they're on the bench and the guy in the game, I think you're going to see a lot of Mudita, if you will, like we had, we used that word last year. It's on our Final Four ring. I think some guys that maybe don't play as many minutes in a particular game, somebody else plays really well. I think that they'll have some guys super happy and happy, proud of them. So I think that's good. Now, we're still in some talks with some of the guys. Maybe we redshirt a guy or two because it's going to be impossible to play 13 guys in the rotation. That doesn't happen. So whether you end up with 8, 9, 10 guys, some of the guys that maybe have separated themselves, or some other guys maybe they save a year, redshirted, play when maybe we're not as deep or whatever. So we're gonna have those discussions, but I think the practice intensity's been high. I think guys know they're gonna have to compete for minutes, but I think they're doing it to make each other better. I mean, we get after it in practice pretty hard. I think they're all under the same pretense that we're all here to make each other better and to get the program better. So I'm gonna compete really hard with them, but it's making us both better. And you know what? If some guys gotta give up some minutes for us to be a better team, we've talked about in the past, a lot of these guys, the higher level guys, are trying to play in the NBA, and we're gonna have a fair amount of these guys, I think, get a chance to play in the NBA. We've got a pretty talented roster. The NBA is not looking for guys to play 30, 35 minutes and be inefficient in their minutes. Josh Primo averaged 8 points a game here, won the lottery. Noah Clowney didn't average double figures, win 21st in the draft, and they both did really well, when they got in. Herb Jones was never thirsty for points or minutes. I mean, shoot, Herb Jones sat on the bench and told me to keep guys in and let him keep sitting because we're going on a run, and kept playing well. Herb walked in and started right away as a rookie. I think some of these guys got to understand the NBA is looking for efficiency in your minutes, not high minutes. They're looking for efficiency in your shots, not high shot attempts. So I think knowing that, and then the fresher you are through the course of the game, you're not really making dumb mistakes that'll kind of dock you, if you will, as some of the NBA teams look at them. We're going to try to keep guys fresh. Cliff's not going to play as many minutes here as he did at Rutgers. Like, we play faster. He's going to get tired. We're going to have to get him out. We want to keep him fresh. We don't want to we don't want to get him in foul trouble or just making some silly mistakes because he's tired. And he's not going to be the only one. There's going to be a lot of guys. Let's get you in for 2-3 minutes. Let's get you out. Let's keep you really fresh. You can play well through the course of the game. But like you said, practice intensity's been high. They're pushing each other. They all know we're pushing each other to make us all better, and I think it's definitely made us better, all summer, fall, and then in the preseason.
Tony?
Yeah, you kind of touched on what I was going to ask a little bit, but just with the red shirts, you mentioned Nas being somebody that you wanted to get stronger. Is he kind of one of the people you're looking at, and what do you kind of do to kind of make those decisions? What goes into making that decision?
We haven't made the decisions yet, but that it would make sense for a guy like that, just because he's going to have to get a lot stronger, tougher. His upside's really high. If he can get tougher physically, put on 15 pounds, 6'8" guards that shoot it at the level he shoots it at tend to be pros. But, he's just got to get a little, in his intensity level on a consistent basis throughout practice. We got to keep working on him. And there's days he looks like he should be in the NBA, but he's just got to get a little more consistent. So, he's probably a candidate we're going to talk to about it, but the redshirt thing's not something that just we decide, like, that's gotta be this guys could decide, like, no, I wanna fight for my minutes, even if I'm not gonna play that many minutes, if it's gonna be single digit minutes or possibly no minutes, I still just wanna fight to play, so it's gotta be a two-way deal, like, we think maybe it'd be smart, cause and here's the other thing, if we don't have a plan for you here, it doesn't make much sense to redshirt you either, like Chris Parker last year, you know, he ended up leaving, but if I didn't really care about Chris, I would have taken him off his red shirt when we had when Charlie was hurt and we had all the injuries in February, because he definitely could have helped us. He significantly improved through the course of the year. Now, you know, he's at Villanova. I think he, you know, it looked to me like he played fairly well in at least one of their exhibitions. I saw box score. You know, I think some of these guys, if you don't have the pressure playing in a game, you can get in the weight room on a game day. Day before practice, you don't have to make sure your legs are up under you, you know, super fresh for the game. You can get a lot of extra work in. There's a lot of stuff you can do if you don't have the pressure, making sure you're mentally, physically rested and explosive for the game. There's a lot you can do on a game day and the day before a game that the rest of the guys really can't do. And I think Chris took advantage of that and got a lot better. But again, like I said, if I didn't, I would have loved to keep him around here. I just, you know, it's hard sometimes, and I think Chris is going to be a really good player, and I think we did what was right by him and not take him off his red shirt, because especially with the, you know, looks like the rev share is coming, or with the NIL, with all that going on right now, however they end up getting it, there's a lot of money in college basketball. So for a guy to maybe be able to have a fifth year to play in college basketball instead of, you know, hopefully these guys make the NBA, but if they don't make the NBA, I think they'd rather be in college basketball their fifth year than maybe going to Europe that year. So I think you're doing what's right by the individual sometimes and redshirting them as well.
Katie.
Jaron talked about coming back to win a national championship. Darion talked about watching the Final Four last year and win a national championship. So this team's not shying away from championship talk. So, but preseason, kind of how do you balance, okay, yeah, that's our goal at the end of the year is a national championship, but it starts with winning games now.
Yeah, I like the fact that they've got big goals. I don't think we want guys that are selling themselves short. I think we've got the talent. That's what we should be talking about. But, you know, you look at UConn's won the last two. You look at the first one they won, I think they maybe lost, and I don't want to say this incorrectly, somebody could probably correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe 5 of 7 games in a stretch there in January or something. There's lots of things that happen through a season that make you better to get you to the point you can win. Nobody thought UConn was going to win a national championship when they were losing the games that they did, whether it was late January or whatever it was. There's going to be teams that put themselves in the mix to win a national championship that nobody's talking about right now. People are talking about us. If we want to stay in that conversation, we've got to get better every game. So we got to come ready to go to first game. We've also talked about getting our defense back to where we had it. 2 of the previous 3 years, we were 3rd in the country in defensive efficiency, and then last year, I think we finished 112th, I think, or 111th. It wasn't good, whatever it was just awful. So we've talked about getting our defense back up to one of the best defenses in the country. Well, those efficiency numbers count on the first game. So our just like we were trying to make it like they counted in the exhibitions. Well, we held Memphis to a .67, which would have been #1 defense in the country. The first half. Second half, totally, I mean, about double from that. So, you know, against Asheville, Arkansas State, McNeese, who are all very good teams. Asheville's been in the tournament, finished in the top 2 the last 2 years. Arkansas State's picked to win their league. I believe McNeese is, they picked to win their league too, I believe. These 3 teams are all very good. Like, the efficiency numbers that we're trying to get on the defensive side are going to be hard to get against these 3 teams, but that's our goal, is to get them. So every time out, we're going to be talking about what our points per possession were on defense the last 4 minutes. You know, every game going in, like we've got goals within the game to keep our guys focused that I think will help kind of what your question was, kind of get them ready to go each game.
2 more, Jeff.
Hey Nate, on Jaren, we talked to him, you mentioned some of the physicality that he's been working on this offseason. Where have you maybe seen the biggest leaps from him heading into year 2, and just kind of what are the expectations for him individually in terms of growth?
He's definitely playing more physical. If you watch him drive the basketball, I was talking with a couple of our guards after practice last week, and they're like, man, Jaren's got those NBA drives. It's like you put your shoulder down, and he's 6'10", and he gets low in his drive. He drives, and you're not knocking him off the drive. He's finishing like a man at the rim. So I think that's one area you'll see it very clearly right out of the gate, is he's driving the ball with some physicality, but he's also rebounding the ball on the offensive end with more physicality, getting in there, not getting bumped off. A guy tries to box him out, he's still coming because he's a lot stronger now. I think defensive rebounding, he can push the ball up the floor after. We would love for him to get more defensive rebounds because he's a wing. He's a 6'10" wing. He'd grab a rebound, push it up the floor. So I think you'll see him being a lot more physical. I think, you go back to last year, he made big strides last year. You look at our first game against Clemson here, he looked like he still was in high school. You look at our last game against Clemson, he grew up. He looked like a man out there. He had 19 points, he played well. If he didn't play that well, we don't go to a Final Four. And then you kind of make the jump from that Clemson game to the second Clemson game to what you're gonna see this year. We all gotta remember, he just turned 19 years old this month. So I turned 19 this month of my freshman year in college. He turned 18 his freshman year in college. He legitimately should have been a senior in high school last year. So this should be his freshman year. He's got a whole year of college basketball under his belt. How the game's played physically, he's able to get stronger. I think you're gonna see a big jump out of Jaren this year.
Last one, Blake.
Did you learn anything in the exhibitions as far as lineup combinations and different ways that you can use people there?
Yeah, a little bit. It's just, we were missing 4 guys. Hopefully get 3 of those back by Monday. We're definitely gathering data for our analytics based on all the different lineups, those 2 games. So, we'll use those 2 games just like we'll use the real games. So, after we're done with these first 3 home games, we'll have a 5-game database to use for lineup analysis, because we'll use those exhibition games. I coached some regular games. I wasn't. So we were trying to play guys. So a little bit of that. I think we are going to be able to use Mo Diabate as a changeup at the 5 some. Especially and maybe other teams wouldn't necessarily view him as a 5 if you put him on the floor with Grant Nelson, but maybe we would play him more like the 5 and Grant more like the 4, but maybe Grant guards the 5, and he, I think he's good. I think he's really good. So I think we saw some stuff. I think you saw we could put 3 guards out there, even though they're a little smaller. We started Phylon, Sears, and Holloway against Memphis, and our defense was a .67 in the first half. So sometimes your worries with going smaller and playing more guards is that you're not going to be as good defensively. Well, we started those 3 guys and we're .67 in the first half. Sears, and I don't know if you guys noticed, Sears' defense significantly improved this year. In practice, in those exhibition games, when he stood up, I believe it's Hildreth, tough physical driver at Wake Forest, he stood him up on the drive, stripped him, went the other way. I think you saw it against Memphis. I think he did a better job guarding the ball than anybody on the team. He knows that's what he's got to do to get to the next level. He got the feedback when he went to all these NBA teams, and he's doing a really good job of improving on it. So I do think you saw LeBaron Phylon's one of the better 2-way guards in all of college basketball, upperclassman, freshman. He's been really good, both sides of the ball. So Holloway's a much better defender than he was last year. I think that's part of the reason he maybe didn't play as much, as maybe what he would have liked or hoped, or maybe his minutes had gone down at some point, but he's been a lot better defensively here, I think. So I do think you saw that we can put a guard lineup out there and still have a very good defensive team. So we definitely learned some things. We'll use all those lineups to help with our lineup analysis, kind of moving forward. In college, you don't have a huge sample size. You get to the end of the season, there's 31 games. You play 31 games in the NBA and you're, you know, just over a third of the way through the season. So you gotta use what you can. You know, we'll use practice data, some of our data analytics and stuff, but we definitely learned some stuff in those 2 exhibition games. So great seeing you guys. Look forward to seeing you Monday after the game.